Hey guys, so Silicon Trailer has officially pulled into Rhinebeck, New York. And if you're thinking about doing the travel trailer thing or just the travel thing, I have to say this whole Rhinebeck area is very nice. This is considered upstate New York on the Hudson. And as you can see, it is a very, very beautiful area. This is a very nice place. But anyway, so I'm going to sit here and we are going to talk for a little while about money in the tech profession. Because this is one of those things, like, I don't really think twice about a lot, but apparently is a huge issue for a lot of you guys. Like, not like a huge issue, but like a huge issue. There seems to be some disconnect with a lot of you folks when it comes to money and the technology profession. So I talk about money a lot in these videos, and the reason is because that's what these videos are about. I had somebody who left a comment a few days ago and basically was saying, you know, is it me or does it seem like all Eli does is talk about money anymore, that the videos have changed? And I've gotten a lot of comments like that over the years about my videos changing. It's no longer about pure IT anymore. It's all about money, which is a little odd for me, and is probably my fault because it means I somehow have not communicated things properly over the past 5.5 years. Because let me tell you, from day one, this was always about money. I started creating these videos for money. I was not like Linus Tech Tips. I was not like a lot of these other people who started doing YouTube videos for the love of YouTube or because I wanted to be a star. Believe me when I say this whole fame thing is really weird for me. No, I started this as a business. I actually built my own streaming servers 5.5 years ago, put them into a co-location facility, the whole 9 yards. I literally built my infrastructure for being able to stream all these videos, and the idea was that I was going to charge a subscription fee for you guys to watch these videos, and I would make money and you guys would learn about technology and it would all be good. And that business failed miserably. Failed miserably. And at that point, I threw all the videos up onto YouTube basically as a place to throw them away. It was like, screw it, I'm in this for the money. I'm going to go back to high-level consulting. Put it onto YouTube. About 8 months later, I was able to monetize, and then I started making money. Then at a certain point, I started making enough money that I went, you know, this is a hell of a lot better than the consulting. Let me go back to this. And that's why I'm doing the videos now. So one, these videos have always been about money. And then two, the content, the topics of the video have always been about money. And this is true. Going all the way back 5.5 years ago when I used to give the elevator pitch on what everymanit.com, that was the original name of this thing, was. The elevator pitch 5.5 years ago was, I want to create videos to teach people how IT people make money. Like, that was in the elevator pitch. Like, you know, you're sitting there, you know, way back when, way before you have servers, way before you've purchased video cameras, way before any of this was anything, when all it was an idea I was pulling out of my ass, when it had that fresh smell of ass on it, because it was that new. It was about money. Like, these videos have always been about money. The entire point, like I say, I had my consulting company. I built it up to all those employees. The big thing when I shut down my company beyond the recession and all that was I realized I just disliked running employees that way. In order to make a good IT company, especially in the modern world, you truly have to treat employees like cogs. I actually, even though I'll tell you guys, that's how you do it. I don't want to run a bunch of cogs. Having 50 cogs run around just doesn't make me a happy boy. And so that's why I got out of it. But then I started doing videos, and the idea was, this is how I've made money. This is how these folks can make money. You know, running cable. Running a single network cable per drop is $150 per drop. You know, you take out the price for cable and parts and all that, and you're looking at $120 per cable run. And then, as I say, that's per cable. So if you have 4 cables, you have 4 ports in the wall for network cables, that's $150 per one of those. That means $600 for each one of those, and it takes you between an hour or two to do. $250 to $500 per hour, literally what I build out at. That was what this was about, right? Because that's what I looked at. When I looked out at how the technology world was training people, what I realized is it was this academic thing. You know, you go to college, you spend $30 or $50 or $100,000 for the degree, and they teach you all this academic stuff that doesn't actually get you paid. But like all these things that you get paid for, nobody teaches you. You know, data recovery, cabling, Linux from a basic standpoint, not for building massive servers, but just, hey, you walk in and one of your clients has a Linux machine. How the hell do you log into it? You know, you got a little blinking cursor. But this has always been about money. Always been about money. So have no doubt, I've always been about money. This has always been about money. So if I have not explained that properly in the past, I've explained it as much as possible now. So I get a lot of people, right? And I get a lot of people, and they're just snarky and they're mean and like, Eli, you're all about the money. What about the love? What about the joy? And again, one thing for you to understand when I'm talking about this and when I'm talking about money and all of that is, don't get me wrong. If you are a poet, if you are an artist, if you are a florist, if you are an archaeologist, if you're an anthropologist, if you are any of those types of professions, I am not going to smack you around about money, right? Those professions are not about money. I have a friend of mine who is going for her a PhD in anthropology, and coming out with a PhD in anthropology, she was hoping for that $40,000 a year job. Again, bless these people. These are the people, the reason that we have history books and the History Channel and lots of interesting information. But what I want you to understand is that is those professions. If you are going into a profession for the love, for the pure, unadulterated love of it, and you think money is some kind of evil thing, some kind of stinky thing, some kind of nasty thing, something that should be shunned, again, understand, I'm not telling you that's a bad thing. I am just simply telling you that's not the IT profession. That is not the technology profession. That's art. That's anthropology. That's archaeology. In the IT world, money matters. Money matters a huge amount. And if you don't take money seriously, and if you do this whole populist crap where you're like, I'm just in it for the love. Nobody should care about money. Money is just this bourgeoisie concept, right? Nobody's going to take you seriously, and you ain't going to be doing anything in this field because you need money to build infrastructure. So the first concept that I want you to understand, when you're thinking about IT and money, the first thing that you really have to think about, and again, all the stuff I'm going to talk about today, you don't need like an economics degree to understand. This is just logic problems. Let's just work through the logic. Some of you guys have some really screwed up logic, so we're just going to walk through the logic a little bit so you guys understand this a little bit better. So the first thing that you have to understand is whenever you're going out to do IT, so you're an IT professional. So an IT professional, what do? You install networking equipment. You install servers. You maintain servers. You deploy desktop systems, BYOD systems, tablet computers and phones and all that. You know, this is what you do, right? So when you go and you're going to be doing this work, who are you going to be doing this work for? You're going to be doing this work for organizations. You're going to be doing this work for large businesses because they're the ones that need somebody like you. You know, if you have an organization with 100 computers, you need somebody to support that. Well, what does the organization do? At the end of the day, in a roundabout way, no matter what organization it is, even if it's nonprofit, at the end of the day, it always comes back to revenue and profit. Whether or not you call it revenue and whether or not you call it profit, it still is revenue and profit. So nonprofit organizations, they don't have a profit, right? They don't have people who own their stock, but they do apply for grants. They get grant money. So somebody writes a check and gives it to them. They may not term that profit, but it is, right? If you go for a normal business, obviously when clients cut the check or customers cut the check, that is revenue that comes in. You separate that out from all the expenses, and then you have profit. No matter what you do, if you're going to be working for an organization, it always comes down to profit, whether it's customers and clients writing checks, or whether it's foundations and government institutions writing checks. Again, whether it's a nonprofit organization or a profit organization, it's still money in, money out. And when you get hired for this organization, when you get hired for one of these organizations, what are you there to do? You are there to make the system more efficient. Our job at the end of the day comes down to 3 stupid little letters. ROI. That's really your job. ROI. Nothing else is your job. I know you imagine all these other things are your job. but your only job is ROI. What is ROI? ROI is return on investment. So when a company pays for you, when a company pays for servers, when a company pays for licenses, when companies pay for anything with technology, what they're looking for is a return on investment. How long before that investment in you or in your systems pays off for the company? So how does a payoff for the company come out? The simple way, the payoff for the company, is if you install systems so that they no longer need to pay so much in expense. So you see this a lot. You know, IT people put a lot of people out of work. Old receptionists, right? So now whenever you call a company, you get an auto attendant, right? So when you sell an auto attendant to a company, that's a nice little profit there. You make $3,000 profit pretty easily, right? Well, what you're not thinking about is that by selling that auto attendant, by installing that auto attendant for the company, that then allows them to fire the receptionist that they had. Right? Because when a phone call comes into a company, it has to be answered somehow. The company really doesn't care if it's a human being or a machine, as long as the call is answered and the call is routed appropriately to whatever extension or whatever. So you install an auto attendant machine, that then allows them to fire the receptionist that was picking up the phone calls before. So the return on investment for an auto attendant is like fucking hours, right? Because you sell an auto attendant for, like I say, a few $1,000s, and they're able to fire a receptionist that makes $30,000 a year. So realistically, the return on investment for that is about a month, let's say. So they pay you $3,000, and within a month, they have saved $3,000 because they no longer have to pay that receptionist. So it's ROI, right? Return on investment. The other way you get a return on investment is by improving efficiency to the point that the company is able to make more money. The company is able to make more sales. So this is a big thing, especially right now with customer relationship management software, CRM software that you'll be dealing with. Salesforce. Back in the day, we used something called ACT. Basically, this customer relationship management software, what it does is it tracks your relationship with all of your clients and all of your customers. So whenever you get a new customer or client, it gets dumped into the database. Whenever you contact a potential customer or client, it gets dumped into the database, right? So let's say the company, pays $50,000 for a new CRM solution. So you're looking at what the return on investment would be for that. And what the return on investment there is how many additional sales can be made. Right? So whenever you go through a sales process, whenever you do sales process in a normal, real business world, one of the problems you run into is that people fall through the cracks. Right? So, I used to go out and I used to do a lot of the sales, knock on doors, hand out flyers. And a lot of times what people would say is, oh, man, I really want that surveillance system. No, you don't understand. I really want to buy that surveillance system, but I'm waiting for fill in the blank. A lot of times it was like a check from a client, or with a lot of businesses, they're seasonal. Like lots of businesses are seasonal, like landscaping is seasonal, from spring to fall. Alcohol, we were dealing with liquor stores at one point, and I forget what their season was, but they had like a weird ass season. Like it wasn't a season you thought about, but they had a weird season. And so a lot of these clients would say, man, I really want this, but I don't have the cash. If you don't have the money, you can't write the check. We don't have the money right now. We really do want this. So come back in 4 months. You come back in 4 months. This deal is done that quick. So here's the thing, all you gotta do is come back, right? So all the salesperson has to do is literally come back. If the salesperson comes back, deal's done, right? Normal world, real world, if you don't have a good way to track those communications, it's really easy to forget that person even exists, and that sale disappears. Well, if that's a nice, surveillance system installation, maybe it's a $20,000 sale that was lost because the salesperson never called him back, right? So you have a CRM solution, customer relationship management software, that allows you to keep track of all this stuff, and then the salesperson, they log in the morning, they get these nice little alerts that pop up and says, oh, look, it's been 4 months since you talked to that liquor store. Right about now is probably when they want to buy the product. You call them up, say, hey, can we sell you that surveillance system? You go, damn right, get over here, I'm signing the contract, right? You get a couple of those, again, $50,000, a return on investment for $50,000, maybe months, maybe a year, but the company gets it back from that efficiency gain. And then once you have the CRM, that's a nice thing, and once it's paid back from the efficiency, then you just keep making more money. And that's why we're there. We're there for our ROI. Again, whether you're doing Linux systems, whether you're doing surveillance systems, whether you're doing telephone systems, whatever the hell you're doing, right? You are there to improve the efficiency of the business. And that is it. That's it. Again, other professions can do all kinds of wacky things. And again, if you like technology, but you really don't want to worry about ROI, Eli, I'm just not into ROI. Again, I'm not saying anything bad against that. It's not IT. Maybe go be a coder. Right? There's a lot of people out there, and you can create scripts, and you can create code, and you can just give it away. That's fine. Again, I'm not saying anything bad about those people, but that's not us, right? We need to be able to show profit because the companies are putting so much money into us and our systems. And that's the thing to realize too, again, with IT, what a lot of you guys aren't thinking about is, remember, when you go into a business, you're going to be dealing with businesses with hundreds or thousands of desktop systems or mobile systems or client interface, systems that clients interface, whatever the hell they are at that point in time. Those systems need networking equipment. Those systems need server infrastructure. Those servers need internet infrastructure. Those servers need all of that, right? And so here's the thing. Even if you are like this open source fanatic, you say, Eli, all I care about is open source. I'm screw Microsoft, screw Apple, screw Oracle, screw all these companies. I'm only going to do open source. And so Eli, see, right there, I'm telling you, money isn't as important. Well, here's the thing, right? What are you going to be running that Cassandra database on? Right? What are you going to be running that Open Office on? What are you going to be running Fedora on? There's still hardware expense. It's expensive. And again, we're not talking about one computer. We're not talking about two computers. We're talking about hundreds or thousands of computers. So like when you go in and you're dealing with the network infrastructure, you can't use some Linksys piece of crap when you have 1,000 computers all trying to communicate on one network. You gotta put in Cisco. Cisco costs money. A Cisco switch is going to cost you anywhere between, depending on what you're doing, anywhere between $1,000 to $5,000 per switch. Right? Your network infrastructure, just the hardware cost alone, maybe $100,000 very easily. Then add to that all of the user devices that people are using, and that can get fast, expensive, quick. Again, each desktop computer, each laptop computer, once you spec it out for an enterprise environment, the minimum it's going to cost is $1,000. So that means if you have 1,000 users and they have 1,000 computers, that's $1 million. Again, it doesn't matter if you're running Linux, doesn't matter if you're running open source, whatever. It's still $1 million. On top of all the networking equipment, on top of the licensing, on top of maintenance contracts, on top of all of those things, this is an expensive field. So what you have to understand is that, I know nowadays after the Great Recession, it's really easy to talk about money being evil. Money is evil. People who talk about money, who care about money, that's just evil. Shouldn't it be about something greater? And that's fine for other professions, but not for ours. Our profession is integral to the business function. What we do makes the overall business more efficient. It allows it to sell more products. It allows it to build more widgets, right? So if you're not worried about money at all, then you're not really any use to that business, right? Because the business is about making more money. And if you walk in there going, I don't care about money, why the hell am I going to hire you? Right? You're there to make me more profit. I pay you $100,000 a year so you can bring in $300,000 or $400,000 for the company. That's why it's done. And then beyond that, like I say, just being able to buy all of this equipment, all the hardware, all the software, all the licenses, there is a tremendous amount of money on the table. Again, as I talked about, I was 23 years old. I was in charge of $500,000 build-outs. It was a lot of equipment. I mean, it's more and less impressive than it sounds, but it's a lot of, we had those telephone systems that we were installing, and some of the cards in the telephone systems were $30,000 a pop. You can't walk in there saying, I don't care about money. Who cares about money? My boss would have lost his damn mind. Like, fire him, right? Because, if you're dealing with $30,000 cards, you don't want people sitting there going, money doesn't matter. Yeah, it does. So one of the first things I want to talk about this. So that is why money is important in the IT profession. And again, I completely understand. If you're like, money shouldn't matter. I don't want money to control my life. That is a reasonable and honorable thing to say. is just not appropriate for our profession. Again, I try to think about the words that I should use to convey these ideas to you guys, which is the best word to use. And I would think that appropriate is the best word in the circumstance. If you don't want to worry about money, if you don't care about money, if you think money is a compromising influence, it destroys morals and ethics and all that. Again, I'm not arguing with you here, but that is not an appropriate mindset when you're going into the IT world, because the IT world is fundamentally about money. At the end of the day, if you're going to be building, like we talk about with Hyper-V, Hyper-V is really cool. You use virtualization, allows you to reduce the hardware cost. The hardware costs are still expensive. If you're going to be building Hyper-V servers that are really going to be doing something that matters, you're looking at about $5,000 a pop for those servers. VMware licensing with high availability, if you're going to be doing VMware. So if you're going to do VMware virtualization, high availability, really good way to go. I think the minimum licensing cost for that is somewhere between $3,000 to $5,000. Now that's for 3 servers, but that's just that cost. That's just the VMware cost. That's not Server 2012 cost. That's not Exchange cost. That's not MS SQL or anything else cost. That's just the VMware cost. So let's say $3,000 for that. And then let's say you build your own server. I'm going to build my own servers. Well, you still have to build your servers with enough hardware on them to make high availability make sense, right? So you're probably going to spend about $3,000 per server, reasonably, like real servers that are going to be doing real virtualization. If you're going to do a cluster, when you buy that license, it's for 3 servers, so you should probably do 3 servers for your high availability. So that's $3,000 per server times 3 is at $9,000. Plus $3,000 minimum for VMware is $12,000. That's before you've gotten to licensing. Are you going to be putting Server 2012 on there? That'll cost you, $800 a pop per instance. Not per box, per instance. And then if you're going to be doing Active Directory, you've got client access licenses on top of that. If you're going to be doing Exchange, you've got Exchange plus their client access licenses. You're going to be, right? It gets expensive. So if you're even going out to do a small VMware build out, the cost before we get to your salary, the cost before we get to how much you're getting paid for your time is probably going to be about $15,000. Money is vital in this field, absolutely and utterly vital in this field. So the first thing to really, when we're talking about money, the first thing that you really have to understand, especially when you're getting into IT, is that money has no morals or ethics to it. Right? So in the modern world, I've seen this a lot. Again, this is why all the hipsters, all these populists out there screaming about money. I just want to strangle them half the time. Because money is just a tool. And it's very important to understand this. Money is simply a tool. If you have $100,000, that $100,000 doesn't have any morals or ethics to it. It's just cash. It's just something that you use in order to acquire other things that you need. So you can use that $100,000 to buy servers. You can use that $100,000 and give it away to nonprofit organizations, or you can take that $100,000 and blow it on crack and whores. Right? It's the same $100,000. You decide what you're going to use it on. So this is an important thing to really get through your head, because I see so many people and they look at money and they put they put this morality on the money. Lots of money is a bad thing. I talk about charging $1,000 an hour, and I've charged $1,000 an hour. People are like, oh, that's just wrong. Why? I charge $1,000 an hour, and then I'm able to take that money and use it for the things that I find to be valuable. So I've taken that $1,000, and I've done things like been able to buy a travel trailer and a truck. I've also, in the past couple of years, I counted up today, I've given away $15,000 to nonprofits. $5,000 to the Baltimore Robotics Center, $5,000 to, I think it's called Code in the Schools, for teaching inner city kids how to code, how to program, and then about $5,000 for the Red Cross, just because, wow, we've had a lot of disasters in the past couple of years, right? And so think about that. When you get money, You know, there's this idea like money. Oh, you get money, you just blow it on, you know, like I say, prostitutes and crack, or it's corrupting. When you get that money, you can use it on whatever you want. You don't have to put this morality onto it, and that's a problem that I see with so many people trying to get in the IT world. Is they want to get into the IT world, but then they look at money as if it's evil. Well, again, when I was 23 years old doing $500,000 build-outs, guess what you need in order to do a $500,000 build-out? 500 grand. All right, you can't do a $500,000 build out with 500 grand, without 500 grand. You know, you can't do a $500,000 build out with you know, the spare change in your back pocket. You got to have cash, and so in order to get that cash, you have to be able to talk to people, and you have to be comfortable talking with people. You know, the reason that we need this money is because it is going to do these things for you. You give me this money and the return on investment. The company is going to be more profitable. You're going to be able to do this. You're going to be able to do that. You're going to be able to do the other thing. When you go in there with a clean conscience with dealing with money, it makes life a lot easier. But the problem that I see is so many people, they put all this, you know, these morals and these ethics on money. I would never charge $500 an hour. Well, here's the thing, then you're never going to be able to charge $500 an hour. And you're like, well, yes, yeah. Well, here's it. So how are you going to build your own infrastructure? How are you going to hire your own employees? How are you going to be able to afford the classes that you need so that you can learn new products so you can be able to install them? I was talking to this with a consultant. So, you know, again, I do a Silicon Trailer, and I sit down and I talk with people about what they're doing. And one of the things, I was just banging my head against the table, is this guy was very proud of his $65 an hour. Right? So we're sitting there, we're talking about, you know, how he's making money. He's like, yeah, I'm doing well, you know, doing $65 an hour. And then I sat there and I talked with him about it. I'm like, I know $65 an hour seems good. I know $65 an hour seems good, but it's really pretty piss poor horrible. And it's not even like me being like, you need to make more money, but it's more like you don't even realize how little $65 an hour is. Well, what do you mean? It's like, well, okay, so you charge $65 an hour. How many jobs can you fix in an hour or two? It's like, well, a decent amount of jobs you can fix in an hour or two. So a lot of these work orders you're going to, you're only getting paid $65, maybe $130, but a lot of times $65. Well, yeah, but that's good, right? $65 for an hour, and sometimes I don't even work an hour. It's an hour minimum. Yeah, but think about this. You have to drive to the client site. What, that takes half an hour plus some gas? Well, yeah. Then you have to leave the client site and go to the next thing. That's half an hour plus some gas. So it's not $65 an hour now. If you only do 1 hour work, it's $65 for 2 hours, which means you're only making like $35 an hour. Well, then you have to think, how many hours are you really going to get in a week? You know, if you're going out and you're going to be a consultant, right? You know, there's this idea, I'm going to go out and I'm going to work 40 hours a week. Well, if you get a job, if you go work for a company, you get 40 hours a week. If you're going to go out and be a consultant, it happens. It happens. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen much, right? Because, you know, people don't need you this week. You may have very good clients, but, you know, there's busy weeks and there's slow weeks. I know for us when we had the shop, going into December was always just a slow time of the year. Not actually because of the holidays and the way you think about the holidays, but more because the decision makers just weren't around at the same time. So you go in and, you know, you say, okay, I need to install the system for you guys for $1,000. And they're like, yeah, I agree with you, but I need the other partner to sign off on this. They're on vacation this week. Okay. Then you come back the next week and they go, and the other guy's there and they're like, but I need her to sign off and she's not here. So why don't you come back in January? So you're not going to get 40 hours a week. Realistically, as a consultant, you got a budget for about 35, or not 35, you got a budget for about 15 hours a week, right? Because what you have to think about, what you're not thinking about is one, how much your client's actually going to call you. Two, think about all that drive time back and forth. You're commuting to every single client. You're not commuting once in a day. If you are going to work for an employer, you commute once, and that's it. Like if you're dealing with clients, you may go to 4 different clients, and that's all that drive time in a day. Then there's all the pre-planning, the talking, right? Whenever you go to deal with a client, whenever you're going to talk with them on, you're actually going to do some work for them. You need to talk with them on the phone. How much time does that burn up? right? So, I mean, just time that gets burned up. You have drive time, you have, pre-planning time, you have all that kind of time that's burned up. Then beyond that, you have all of the other business crap that you have to deal with. You have to do advertising. You have to deal with accounting. You have to go through, oh my God, I've wasted so much time on QuickBooks. You have to deal with taxes. If you have employees, you have to deal with things like employees and all that kind of stuff adds up. So all that time adds up, and all those other tasks you're not getting paid for. So you go in, you're like, look, I'm making $65 an hour. And it's like, yeah, no, you're making like 10. You're billing $65 an hour, but you're making 10. So when I talk to you guys, and I'm sitting here, and I'm saying, you need to be billing a minimum of 100. Time and material billing needs to be a minimum of 100. I'm not saying that to be, the Mr. Man. I'm telling you, that's like a minimum. That's the minimum for a viable business. Because again, you start thinking about if you're going to be hiring employees, if you're going to be doing things like advertising, things that you guys don't think about is the cost per acquisition, CPA, cost per acquisition of a client. So if you're going to be going out and doing advertising, you're like, I need 3 more clients. How much is that going to cost you? That's money that comes out of your pocket, which means it has to come in from somewhere. Right? If you're billing out $100+ an hour, then you've got money to pay for things like advertising so that you can grow. And then you're probably, and some of you guys are saying, well, why should the customer pay for me to grow? Why should the customer pay for me to get more money? Because when you can grow, then you can do things like hire employees. And then if you have multiple employees, that means your customers aren't only relying on you as an individual, you now have a company. If you are sick, that means you can now send an employee out, right? You can pay money for your own infrastructure, so you can have your own email service. You can pay for, there's a software that I really honestly do like. It used to be a sponsor, just so you know, but Be Anywhere. There's this Be Anywhere software that allows you to do all this remote access stuff. Really cool, really awesome. Costs you like $1,000, like a year or something. It's like kind of pricey. But if you're making enough money, you're charging your clients enough, then you can pay for infrastructure like that. Then that makes their life easier, because when it is a small problem, they've paid, so now that you can just go in and remotely fix it and maybe not even charge them for that little thing, right? That's why you need to be making enough money. And that's a problem that I see is everybody's like, I would never charge $100 an hour. I never charge $250 an hour. I never charge $1,000 an hour. That's ridiculous. But then where's the money going to come from to build your infrastructure, to actually pay you, right? Are you really in this for $10 an hour? I sure as hell not. Again, I believe in changing the world. I believe in going out there and making the world a better place. I mean, again, I've got like 1,000 videos up at this point. You guys see how I am. But why shouldn't I also get paid from that? Oh, that's ridiculous. Why? I'm making my company's lives better. I'm making your guys' lives better. How many videos have I created and I get emails back from people specifically saying, I got jobs because of you. I got promoted because of you. I'm getting paid because of you. Shouldn't I make some money off of that? Why should I help the world and be poor? That doesn't really make sense. So the first thing that you have to understand is you have to be able to bring this money in, and you have to be comfortable asking for this money, because it really does matter in our world. Now, a lot of you guys, you're sitting there and you're thinking, well, Eli, man, all you do is ever talk about consultants. Consulting. Well, I'm an employee. Bitch, I'm an employee. I don't have to worry about any of this crap, right? I am so far removed from the profit center of our company. When you're talking about money like this, man, I pity you. I pity you, Eli, that you have to worry about that. I don't have to worry about that. But you do. There you go. I guess I hit the 30-minute mark. So anyways, in your company only has so much money in order to spend on different things. And again, this is one thing a lot of IT people don't think about, is your company has a budget. Maybe $100,000 a year, maybe $1 million a year, for all the stuff that it needs, for employees, for advertising, for marketing, for internal infrastructure, for facilities, for janitors, for all that kind of stuff, right? If you work at a company, they've got an amount of money that they can pay for expenses. One of the things that IT people don't think about enough is you are competing with other departments for the pot of money, right? So businesses are a lot like government. There's a lot of money that has already been allocated. So, the CEO sits down, and there's a big chunk of money every year, and it has already been allocated for expenses. So you have a building with employees in it. That means rent or mortgage or whatever else, it's already been allocated. They're already spending $10,000 a month on rent. You can't get your hands on it, because if you don't have a building, you can't have a business, right? Then you have things like the utility bills, gas, electric, water, all those kind of things. Those are expenses. Then you have things like accounting and compliance and all this other kind of stuff, right? Then once you get through all those, there's this massive amount of expense that just has to get paid. If that expense doesn't get paid, the business basically goes belly up. Can't function. Then you got this other chunk, 30%. Of the money, the revenue that came in, and that money can be allocated basically however the C-level executives decide. And the thing that you have to understand is that it will get allocated based on what they think the priority should be. So you go, basically, so the C-levels are sitting there, and they have all of these different priorities on the table. They have the marketing department saying that what really needs to happen this year is they need $1 million to be able to spend on advertising, right? Because if you get more advertising, you get more clients in. Isn't that what needs to happen? Then you've got like the warehouse department. And the warehouse department, the manager comes in and goes, guys, I need 5 more people. I have to have 5 more people. If you get these advertising people and they do all the more advertising and you start selling a lot more widgets, I don't have enough people to push the widgets out the door. I need 5 people. And then you get the sales department, and the sales people say, well, if the advertising people get that much money, that's going to be getting more calls in. You need to have somebody answering the phone. So we need to hire another 10 people. We need that pot of money. And then you're sitting there in the IT department going, hey, our email servers, our email servers are like a decade old. Do you realize that the software that our servers are running on isn't even supported by Microsoft? And if you just sit there kind of like, not really worried about money, not really thinking about it, because, money's not your responsibility, right? Money's not your responsibility. Guess what? Advertising, marketing's going to get the budget. Warehouse is going to get the budget. Sales is going to get the budget. And then you are going to get just an awful, awful, awful mess when all that work comes in. Your infrastructure that was already under strain just gets hammered to hell and back. And then guess what? That C-level executive isn't going to give you pity. He's not going to look at you and go, oh, I understand that we didn't give you enough money. They're going to look at you and go, what the hell was fucking wrong with you? You were in that meeting. Everybody there was saying what they needed, and you kept your stupid ass mouth shut. Didn't you know 6 months ago that we would need another email server? Didn't you think about the fact that none of our systems are any longer maintained by the manufacturers? And you're like, well, but it is your job. It is your responsibility. You have to go in there and you have to fight for the budget you need, right? If your people need training, you need to fight for it. If you need training, you go in there. That was my first company, the first enterprise company that I worked for. And they were just hammering me to hell and back. Again, I was so far underwater. And so every time I talked to my manager, it was, you have to send me to training. Well, you know how expensive training is? And I was blind. It was a hell of a lot less expensive than when I shut down one of these offices for a week. All right, return on investment. Oh, yeah. Eli accidentally shuts down an office because, frankly, he hasn't been trained for the job we shoved him in, versus let's just dump 10 grand, send him off to Chicago, get to the training he needs. You'll be able to go in there and fight for it. So it's not just the consulting world. I know, again, I see a lot of you guys, and you think, I'm just talking about money for small businesses, and, well, that's just small business, that's consulting. Eli doesn't realize I work for IBM, or I work for one of these major corporations. I don't need to worry about money. Yeah, you do. Money is integral. Absolutely and utterly integral to what we do. And it is. Even in the corporate world, you have to argue for what you need. And you may be sitting and you may be thinking, well, Eli, man, you keep talking about these C-level executives. I know, I understand. At some point, I hope I'm in the room with the C-level executives, but look at how small I am. I'm not important right now. I'm not good enough to be there. So why do I have to worry about the money thing? And the thing is because you're going to be talking to your managers, right? So you have a director of IT or a vice president of IT in your company. They are the ones that go in and do the fisticuffs with the C-level executives, the CIO or whatever. Well, they figure out what they need based on people like you. If you go to your manager, if you go to your CIO, and every other week you're saying, listen, we need another employee. Or listen, our help desk software keeps crashing. Or hey, I don't know if you realize it, but our entire email system is still running on Server 2003, and I think Microsoft is going to shut off support July 16th, right? That is what gives them the heads up so that they can go in and fight the fights. And the thing is that when they're looking for people to promote, when they're looking for people to give raises to and all that kind of stuff, they're looking for all overall professionals, not just the people that can fix the 2003 server, but the one that's going to come to them and say, hey, do you know that 2003 server is going to be screwed pretty soon? And that also helps your life, because if you go in there and you fight for the budget that you need, and again, I'm completely honest with all this stuff. How I deal with business, I'm always honest, I'm always transparent. So don't fight for too much more than you need. I mean, give yourself a cushion. If you're going to go in there and fight, you might as well give yourself a cushion, right? But don't fight for much more than you need. Fight for what you need, but then that also makes your life easier. Again, when I fought for the training, that then gave me the training, which meant doing the administrative work that I had to do was a lot easier. Instead of spending an hour on each work order in order to fix a telephone system, I spent 5 minutes. Right? Simply because I was willing to fight for that. So this is an important thing to understand. Like I say, even in the corporate world, that you understand these money issues. And really and honestly, again, I sit down and I talk with CEOs and I go to all these conferences and all that kind of stuff. And here's one of those interesting things, right? So I was talking about the development CEOs in one of the other videos, or a lot of the other videos. And so I've talked with CEOs of development companies, right? They create mobile apps or web apps or that kind of thing. And I was asking them about certifications. And I said, what do you think about somebody that comes in with a PHP certification or whatever, C# certification? And they said, oh, I wouldn't hire them. I was like, what? And they did. They said, so if you come in with a certification for programming, they say that shows what you value, that you value pieces of paper, and what they value is people that create software. So if you come in and you say, I have 3 apps in the App Store, if I've designed these couple of things, and that's what they want to see. They don't want to see paper. Well, here's an interesting thing on the IT side, of this. So talking with CEOs and conferences and all that, sorry, mosquito. The interesting thing is when they're looking at managers, when they're looking at people that they're going to hire and promote within the IT infrastructure, do you know what they actually say? I know what you guys are saying there. It's like, oh, yeah, I need a master's degree in cybersecurity. I know so many of you guys, yeah. Don't worry, Eli, don't worry. I'm going out for my master's degree in cybersecurity because that's what these companies want. You know what these companies really want? Swear to Spaghetti Monster? MBAs. MBAs. The reason is because once you get higher up in a company, when you're dealing with technology, it's business issues. It's about leasing. It's about taxes. It's about compliance. It's about auditing. All those words that you don't hear about when you get your MCSE or your CCNA or any of that kind of stuff. I have heard the C-level executives say, I want people that have had classes in finance. Give me geeks with classes in finance. My life is going to be so much easier, because what they say is, right, all these geeks out there, they want their toys and they want their infrastructure and they want their servers and they want all this stuff, but they don't understand business. They don't understand money. Here's the thing. The business of business is business, right? It's about making money. So if you have an integral part in your company, if you're an integral employee and you don't understand how money works, if you don't understand how business works, it's just not valuable to them. So again, this is very important. Whether or not you're just a consultant or whether you're you're actually an employee in a company, this is absolutely huge. Now beyond this, one of the issues that I see with you guys, and when you guys want to get ahead in the IT world, because I see so many of you guys noobs out there, all these newbies or these wannabes. I don't even want to call them newbies. They're wannabes. They're before newbies. And it's really interesting because a lot of people, they think they're giving me a compliment when I really just want them to unsubscribe. like when I see see this, they think they're being nice to me when I'm like, please unsubscribe right now. And one of the things I've talked about in some of these videos is how many options there are now. So when I first came out with the idea of everymanit.com, there weren't a lot of options out there for online video training. There's like lynda.com, but that was more creative, professional focused, Illustrator and Final Cut Pro and that kind of stuff. There were things like CBT Nuggets, but at least back then, they weren't even big enough to be on my radar. Like when I was looking at competition for creating my business, CBT Nuggets didn't even come up, which probably says a little bit about how much I did research my competition, but also, I didn't even know that they existed. There just wasn't a lot out there, and I've talked about it, as time's gone by, 5.5 years, things change in 5.5 years, and now there's Udacity, there's CBT Nuggets, there's all these different companies out there providing online training, and that's where I've said, I can't really compete, I don't think, with a lot of the quality. They just put out a tremendous amount of content, decent quality content, and for me, it's just very hard to compete with that. You can go to Udacity, you can pay $200, and you go through one of their courses. You want to be a front-end developer or back-end developer or any of that, you go to CBT Nuggets and you can learn about Cisco or Microsoft or any of that kind of stuff. It's just like I'm looking at them like, the competitive world is just not what it was 5.5 years ago. And then I get some people and they're like, yeah, Eli, but you're free. I'm never gonna pay for Udacity. You see, Eli, you're in the right position doing these free classes because I'm never gonna pay for Udacity. I'm never gonna pay for CBT Nuggets. I'm never gonna pay a dime. And again, you always got to think about words, right? Whenever you're talking with somebody, whenever you're communicating, you have to think about the words that they're using. And there's a reason I want these people to unsubscribe, because these are the people that should not be in the IT world. Because what these people are saying is they're not saying that, Eli, I don't have $200. Eli, I have a mortgage, and therefore it's too expensive, right? If you say something is too expensive, that's one thing, man. I do actually feel bad for you at that point. It's a little too much money. But what you have to realize in the IT world is, what is the IT world about? It's about getting the job done. So if you don't have $200 to pay for these classes, the first thing you need to do? Figure out how to get the $200, right? Our job is to get the job done. Our employers, our clients don't care about what our issues are. They don't care what our problems are. They just want us to see that we get the job done. So if you're sitting there, you're looking at CBT Nuggets, or you're looking at Udacity, you're looking at these other things, and you don't have enough money to pay for it, then the first task in IT that would be really good for you to learn is to figure out how to pay for it. Because again, we're not talking about $20,000. We're not talking about $200,000. We're not talking about eye-watering bankruptcy numbers. We're talking about $200 or $50 per month. If you can't get $200 or $50 a month together to push your career forward, doesn't that just really say everything you need to know? As somebody who used to be an employer, it says everything I need to know, right? If you can't even get that amount of money together, then why are you in this profession? Right? Because again, this profession is about money at the end of the day. It really does come down to money. So the first thing you have to be thinking about, when you talk about, oh, that's too expensive, is what are you really saying with that? So the one thing is you can say is it's too expensive. If you say it's too expensive, Udacity is too expensive. That's $200 per month. Here's the thing. Somebody like that I can kind of work with. Again, we got to adjust your thinking. We got to adjust your motivation. We got to adjust your discipline. It's not $200 is too much. It's I need to figure out how to earn $200 more. Right? That's what it really is. But then you have the other side. And again, these are the people that should just unsubscribe. Just go away. It's okay. No harm, no foul. You just need to go. Because I don't want you in the profession. Again, at the end of the day, I'm still a professional. I am still a professional. I am a geek at heart. I am an IT technology professional at heart. So believe me, when I give you guys this kind of advice, I don't want everybody in the world to be in IT, because there's a lot of damn idiots. And at some point, I'm going to be dealing with them, right? And so the problem is a lot of people, you say, I won't pay. I will not pay $200. Even if I had $200, I would not pay $200. Why would I pay $200 for Udacity? Why would I pay $100 per month for CBT Nuggets? Why would I pay $20,000 for a college degree? I will not pay. Think about what you're really saying here. What you are actually saying at this point is that you are, in fact, worthless. It's true. You are stating to the world that you are worthless. Again, I always try to be a little cautious with words here because you guys take this stuff the wrong way. And so I'm not saying this worthless is a derogatory insult. I am actually saying this as in your value is 0. You're like, what? Oh, damn it, Eli. How dare you sit there and call me worthless? I'm not calling you worthless. You're calling yourself worthless. Because as I've talked about before, all the stuff in my head, about $250,000 in my head. Like I say, I've got a lot of training, a lot of education, a lot of different things. I've paid for a lot of things. Other people have paid a lot of things for a lot of things for me, right? And so the question that comes into mind when you get hired by a company, when a company takes you on, is what is your value? Is it worth it to invest in you? Simply bringing you on, simply hiring you is going to cost that company money, right? A lot of employees don't think about this, and it really sucks. What's called the onboarding process is actually a rather expensive process, right? So the onboarding process is when I hire you, when somebody hires you, it is the cost to bring you on and then get you up to speed. So this means the additional training, this means paying for things like insurance, this is any education that you need, so on and so forth. It actually, in fact, costs money simply to get you working. It costs real money. And then beyond that, as you grow with the company, they then have to pay for things. Again, they have to pay for an MCSE class to get you up to speed if you're going to be doing systems administration work. They pay for college. So a lot of these companies, pay for you to go to school, to go for your master's degree, which should be an MBA. With a specialization in technology, but should be the MBA. They pay for this. Well, here's what I want you to think about. If I'm going to be a boss, if I'm going to be a potential boss, and I'm looking at somebody, and I'm thinking about whether or not I'm going to invest in them, because that is what is happening. They are investing. They are putting upfront money. They're paying upfront money with the hope that they will be able to earn a profit from you later. So if I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, do I invest in this person? And you come into the interview, and I look at your resume, and I see that you have not been willing to invest in yourself. You're not willing to invest $50 a month in yourself. You're not willing to invest $200 in yourself. Then why would I invest in you? Right? You go to pop psychology, the big thing a few years ago was talking about, if you want to be loved, you first have to love yourself. Right? That's a big thing. All you guys should probably know it. Right? And if you want people to love you, the first thing you have to do is love yourself. When we go to the business, flip that on its head for business. If you want people to invest in you, you have to be willing to invest in yourself. And again, everybody understands that there's a limit to budgets. I'm not saying that you have to go out and spend $200,000 on yourself. I'm not saying you have to go out and spend $10,000 on yourself. But if somebody's looking at your resume and they see zero investment from you for yourself, what you are telling them is that you are worthless. You know yourself best. You know yourself best. And the person that knows yourself the best is not willing to invest in you. Damn, right? And that's what you're saying. Again, you guys may not realize, and that's why I do these videos, but that is what you're saying. If you're not willing to spend the money on and again, I keep saying CBT nuggets and Udacity just because that's the first thing that comes to my mind. But again, whether it's books, whether it's dummies books, whether it's going to college classes, whether it's whatever, there's a zillion things. Going through a boot camp, that shows that you're dedicated. If I have two potential candidates in front of me, one potential candidate spent $3,000 to go through a boot camp, the other candidate didn't, just wants me to give them everything, who do you think I'm going to hire? It's not a huge logic problem there, right? I mean, that's how it is. So that's the other thing you have to think about, is investing in yourself and just getting out of this idea. I see so many people they wrap themselves in this idea. I'm not going to spend money. Why should I spend money on Udacity? Why should I spend money on CBT? Why should I spend money on college? Because you're investing in yourself. We can have a real argument. And as I do these videos, I will have a very one-sided argument about all these things. And we can have an argument about what investment makes the most sense. Is a bachelor's degree, does that make the most sense? An associate's degree, a boot camp, what makes the most? We can have an argument about the best place to spend your money. but you have to be willing to spend the money. And if you're not willing to spend the money, again, I am in blunt in all these videos, you really need to unsubscribe, and you really need to just go off and be a poet or something, because you're not going to succeed in this field. If you are not willing to invest in yourself, why the hell should anybody else? That just sums it up. It really just sums it up so much. And the big thing, like I said, at the end of the day, what I see with a lot of people when it comes to money, and a lot of the problems that people are having with money, is the problem is, especially like I say in the technology world, is again, they're thinking about money the wrong way. Money is simply a token, it's a unit that we use to acquire things. It's used for payment. I get paid money from Google so that I can do X, Y, or Z. You know, money comes in, money goes out. There's no morals to it, there's no ethics to it. Money is simply money. What's important is what you use it for. If you go and you spend $15,000 on crack and whores, that's not a very moral or ethical use of money. If you take $15,000 and you spend it on, doing nonprofit organizations, helping kids in school be able to do better, that's a good thing, right? All it is money. And so one of the problems that I see, especially in the modern world, is kind of think of it like a game. So kind of think of it like we're playing like soccer or playing football, right? And we get this team. We get this team of kids, and they're probably inner city kids, because, that's just how it works in the real world. It's urban kids. And imagine you're going out there, you're going to do soccer, you're going to do football, right? And, you guys know what soccer is. Everybody in the world knows what soccer is. Or football, if you're European. If you're European, you're like, damn you, it's football. Okay, right? You kick a ball, you get it through a goal. Well, as with anything in life, people with more resources are usually able to do better. So you have the suburban kids, that go to all the private schools, and their parents make money and all of that. And so those kids go to soccer camp, they go to football camp, they get good coaches. The coaches that they have used to play soccer when they're in school. So those are good kids out there. Those kids know how to get a ball through a goalpost, right? They go out there and they're able to do goals. Well, then you get the urban kids, right? The inner city kids. And here's the thing: they don't got a lot of money, so they can't afford to go to things like soccer camp and all that kind of stuff, right? The parents that are teaching them, this may be the first generation. This may be the first generation that even knew that soccer or football existed, right? Previous generation had harder problems to deal with, right? So this is the first generation. The parents are like, we really want to get our kids ahead. We see that soccer, doing sports, teamwork is a way to do it. So we want to get our kids out there. So here's the thing: you can take the suburban kids, you take the urban kids, and you put them on the grass. You put them on the field, right? And hey, surprise, surprise. In this particular scenario, urban kids get their asses wiped, right? Because the suburban kids, they've been going to soccer camp, they've been getting extracurricular training, they have the really good soccer shoes and all that kind of stuff. You'd be surprised. The right kind of soccer shoes matters. Maybe the urban kids, maybe they didn't even know that they were supposed to get shin guards. I used to play soccer when I was a kid. Oh, you always want shin guard, right? So you see this urban kid running down the thing, he's about to kick the ball, and then the suburban kid, kicks, slams him in the ankle or slams him in the shin, and the urban kid, right? Because they don't have the right equipment. So you go out there and you're on that game, and the urban kids lose. Hey, that's just how it works. It's sad, but this is kind of like how reality is. The people with more resources, they do it better a lot of times than the people with less resources. Well, the kids go out there and they get their asses whipped a couple of times, and the parents are sitting there going, oh my golly, what are we going to do, right? The urban parents are sitting there like, what are we going to do? Our kids are getting their asses whipped, and motivation is going to hell, whole 9 yards. What are we going to do? And then somebody says, well, it's not really about goals. All these suburban kids out there are getting goals. It's not really about goals, right? It's about playing the game. It's about going out there and running your asses off. If you go out there and you run your asses off, that's success, right? Because when we start talking about things like success, what is success really? Success is simply what you define it as, right? So the suburban kids are saying success is getting a ball through the goal, get a point. Urban kids are having some issues with this, and so it's like, well, maybe, we're just going to pat them on the back for running. if you go out there and you run your asses off, we're going to pat you on the back. Right? And that sounds pretty good. So the suburban kids go out there and they get all the goals. They keep getting goals, and then the urban kids go out there and then they start getting pats on the back for running. Hey, good job. You were out there. You ran back and forth so many times. I am so proud to see you run like that. Well, then the kids are sitting there. And you go through a couple of games like this where you keep getting patted on the back for running around, and then they start thinking, well, how you're successful at this game, apparently, is you run a lot. Yeah. So what we need to do is when we go out and we start doing drills, we need to start doing lots of running drills. Because we keep getting pats on the back when we run a lot. And so they start training to run a lot on the field, right? Because that's what they're getting pats on the back for. So the suburban kids keep getting goals. And then the urban kids keep running. They're running all over the damn place. Why? Because that's what they think. Because they've been told that's success. And then because you train for the fight that you're going to fight, right? You train how you fight. So if you think that success is about running, you're going to run. If you think about success as in getting balls through goals, you're going to get balls through goals, right? And so they're running around and they're running around and they're running around. And then the problem is that they're losing, right? So they were losing before, which was understandable, right? If you looked at the game in the beginning, you had the suburban kids and you had the urban kids, and the urban kids lost. Everybody understands that. Fine. Sad for the urban kids. Maybe we can do something, but we understand what's going on. But now you go and you're a spectator on the soccer field, and all you see is the urban kids running their asses off, just around and around and around and around and around, and the suburban kids getting goals. And so now you're like, okay, well, the urban kids are losing. And basically they're just running around in circles. Like, what the hell are they doing? They're not even playing the game anymore. They're not even playing the game. So you start scratching your head and you're like, well, not only losing, but they're dumbasses. Right? Now, the urban kids don't think they're dumbasses. They've been getting pats on the back for running around a lot. So they think, hey, look, you're running around a lot. That's what we're supposed to do. So then, and you get somebody like me in life that comes, and it's like, you know what? This team needs some help. This team really needs some help. There's some miscommunication here. No big deal. There's some miscommunication. You know what? I've got $5,000. I want to invest in your team. Your team. You know what? We can get some coaches in here that know what's going on. We can get you maybe a couple of your kids off to soccer camp. We can't pay for all the kids to go to soccer camp, but maybe we can send 4 kids off to soccer camp, and they can come back and teach you the lessons. Right, that sounds really reasonable, right? So all the urban kids, all they're doing, they're losing all the time. They obviously don't know what's going on because they're running around in circles. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to say, I'm going to give you this money because I want to see you succeed. Here's the bitch of the situation. You want to know how this story goes? Because basically I've been in this story. And then they look and you go, what are you talking about? I'm like, what? I'm going to give you $5,000 so hopefully you guys can get better. Oh. You think it's all about goals, don't you? I'm like, what? Oh, yeah, you just want to come in here. You're going to tell us this game is all about goals. If we ain't getting goals, then we aren't winning. Is that what you're going to say? It's like, well, it's not all about goals. But yeah, that's kind of like, that's the point of the game. The game is goals. The game is not running around. It's goal. Yeah, people like you would say that. No, but I'm here. And I'm willing to invest in you guys. I'm willing to give you guys money so that you can learn how to properly play the game, and so you can win. Again, maybe not this season, maybe not next season, hell, maybe not your team, but when your team when new kids come in, in 5 years or 10 years, you may have a competitive team if we can get you guys back into playing the game. Yeah. Look at him. This guy, man, this guy just cares about goals. All he cares about is goals. And you're like, and that's what's happening with this thing with money. It really is. Here, let me pause for a second because this is about to flip off again. But this is what's happening with money, right? And it really is. And it's not a joke. And I know I've been through a lot of this kind of thing where you have disadvantaged people. And they really are disadvantaged, and they really do know. And there's not a laughing matter with it. I mean, it's we have a game in our society. Money matters. You know what I'm saying? If you want to be able to pay for your food, you need money. If you want to pay for housing, you need money. If you want to pay for health care, you need money. If you want to live in a neighborhood with good security and good police, you need money. Should it be that way? I don't know. As a very old white man once told me, he looked me straight in the eye and he said, Eli, I'm not saying it's the best system, but it is a system that we have. And I think that is one of the best quotes I ever got of an old white man. It really is true. It's like one of those old white men. Very good guy, but it really was. He just lost his temper at me one day. And I'm like, I'm not telling you it's a good system, but it's a system that we have, right? And so that's the issue, is we have this system, and this system costs money. Again, as I've talked about, you know, with my wife and her health issues, our insurance, yay, we have Obamacare, so we can't lose it, but it still costs $700 a month. $8,400 per year is our health insurance. And that's not like health insurance is covered. You know, when she had 2 cancers, basically cancer back to back, we had $30,000 in out-of-pocket expenses on top of the $8,400. So, I mean, think about it that way. We spent almost $50,000 in 2 years. And that's just how it is. That's how our system works. Our system works based off of money. Take the morals out of it, take the ethics out of it. How should it be? Should we all use Bitcoin? Should we barter? Should we do this? Should we do that? Again, that's not the type of thing that I'm arguing about, because I don't know. Show me a different system that works. Show me a system that is functioning, and I may switch over to that system. But the system that is currently functioning is the one we have. And the one that we have is about money. Money gets you education. Money gets you all of these things. It is simply a resource that you use to acquire other things that you need. But so many people don't want to talk about it, and so many people are sheepish about it, and so many people turn it into this moral and ethical issues that there can't even be a conversation. You know, this was where, when I was dealing with the startup community in Baltimore, I remember talking to this one guy, and inner city African American. I left the inner city, but he was African American. You know, he was a computer science person. He was a startup person. Had a really good head on his shoulders. A little questionable the startup he was running, but you know, whatever. Good head on his shoulders, definitely one of those people that, if not then, can be very successful in life. And one of the things we were talking about at one of the events is, he said, what you have to understand, Eli, is that my family doesn't talk about money. That they never talk about money. Talking about money is considered bad form, is considered bad etiquette, is considered rude. It's considered rude to talk about money, just to talk about it. And so the question is, especially, like I say, with people in those environments, how do you ever get money? How do you ever move forward if you're not even willing to talk about money? What is worth investing in? Do you invest in college for yourself? Do you invest in Udacity for yourself? Do you invest in this to yourself? Do you invest in that? If you're not even willing to talk about money, then you can't have that conversation, which basically means nothing's going to happen, right? And see, that's the horrible thing that I see going on. And that's where I say, with a lot of you guys, and a lot of you, I see a lot of comments too. People are pissy. I'm not doing these MCSE classes. I'm not doing, you know, hacking class. I'm never going to do hacking classes again. All these hacking technical stuff. But again, one of the things that I've noticed is that over the years of doing all these videos, that those actually are not the topics that you guys need to be focusing on. Right? Again, getting your MCSE, there's 1,000 ways to get your MCSE. Some are really expensive, some are not so expensive, some are hard, some are easy, or nothing's easy. But there's a lot of different ways. Learning how to program HTML or CSS or JavaScript or anything, there's 1,000 ways out there. But here's the thing, if you don't have the right mindset, if you're looking at things like money as simply being bad, there is no proper time to talk about money. If you want to earn a lot of money, it instantly makes you bad. If you want to make $1,000 an hour, well, then you just must be an asshole, aren't you? See, if you have that mindset, then there's no. It doesn't matter if you get your MCSE. It doesn't matter if you learn PHP or Python or Ruby or any of that horse crap, because you're not going to be part of the environment, right? And that's what, like, I see this so much with, especially, like I say, with low-level techs, you know, the help desk people and the desktop support people. I talk about money, and they get so offended by it, so horribly offended by it. And, you know, I'm looking at them, and it's like, you know, instead of being offended by it, why don't you ask me how I make my money? Why don't you ask me the idea? How do you go from being a desktop support person to a sysadmin? How do you go from a desktop support person to running your own consulting company? How do you get from here to there? You can get pissy, you can get jealous, you can get nasty, or we can have a discussion and actually talk about, how you get ahead. Because so much about making money is simply asking for it. Again, one of the reasons I'm doing my philosophical classes here is, again, one of the things is to broaden my base. And so when we're talking about business, business is business. And I was talking to a friend of my wife's, about this with her business, right? So she had a business and she was doing her thing. And one of the things she was talking about, she didn't have enough money. So I was like, oh, explain your business to me. Explain what's going on. Tell me how much you charge and all that. She explained her business and all that. And I looked at her and said, well, first off, you need to be charging at least, I would argue, you should be charging twice what you're charging. And if not, 50% more. No, Eli, who's going to pay that? And I looked at her. I was like, well, I would. It was a service that I needed and would pay for. And I was like, I would pay that. Not even thinking about it. If you came to me with twice the price you're asking for right now, I would just write a check. I wouldn't even think about it. It's not even like yeah, she's worth it, or I don't know anybody else. It'd be like, oh yeah, whatever. Oh, Eli, you don't know. I get this so much. Eli, you don't know. Well, yeah, I do. I've been doing a business a long time. Not only have I been doing business for a long time, but all my clients have been business people. Again, remember, the real money in technology is dealing with businesses. So I've always been interacting with C-levels or business people. And it's like, yeah, you need to be charging twice as much, if not twice as much, 50%. Oh. And so she went away. And she thought about it a lot. And I got a phone call or message or whatever. And it was about 3 days later. And she went to one of her clients and said, hey, hate to tell you, really need to move the prices up. And so she didn't do double, but she did like 50%. And it's a 50% increase. And they went, okay. She's like, excuse me? Yeah, whatever. No, I said I'm going to be charging you 50% more. Yeah, we heard you. Yeah, there you go. Right? All that she needed, a 50% increase, was to ask. Was to effing ask. It's a true story. True. And that's what I see with so many people. They're making $40,000 or $50,000. They're sitting there whining like, oh, Eli's so special. I'm not special. I guess I'm special. In a way, I'm special. In a way, I'm very special. I'm special, boy. Yes, I am special in a way, but when it comes to money and business, I'm really not special. Again, what do? I target a niche where I think there's value, and then I just pump all the value out of it I can get. And that's what I see with so many people. Well, you don't understand. I only make $40,000 a year. I was like, well, when was the last time you put out a resume? Right? If you're at a company and you're making $40,000 a year, and you made $40,000 last year and $40,000 a year before, you need to put out a resume, right? Somebody out there, if you have 3 more years experience, somebody out there should be able to pay you more, another $5,000, another $10,000. If they're not willing to pay you more, then you have to do some real hard thinking about what you're doing. Are you worth the money? Again, that's one of the things I keep telling you guys. Computer repair, who the hell cares? I know. Apparently in Texas, Dell is still hiring computer repair people at like $40,000 a year. Wow, 40 grand a year. Ooh, can you pay rent on that? I guess you can pay rent on that. I can pay rent on that. Yeah, right? That's not where the money's at. But here's the thing. Here's what a lot of people do, right? And instead of being honest with themselves, instead of coming to real hard decision points, but they then start doing, well, it's not really about money. I just like repairing computers. I love repairing computers, so I will do it for any amount of money. So if they pay me $40,000, I'm doing it for the love. Right? Instead of taking a hard look and going, you know what, computer repair, nobody says this is going anywhere, right? The writing's on the damn wall. Whether computer repair is alive now or 2 years from now or whatever, writing is on the wall. It's like, okay, money's not going to be in computer repair. What do I need to learn? What do I need to be proficient in so that I can earn the money that I want? And again, it might be Python, or it might be Ruby, or it might be something else. I don't know. Maybe surveillance systems. Surveillance systems aren't that hard. Maybe it's Internet of Things. And yeah, you're going to have to relearn, right? So a lot of people, you know what they do is they get their MCSEs, or they get their A+, or they get whatever, and they get their job, and then they're like, I did it. I got my certification. I got my degree. I'm done. And again, if you're going to be a florist, or a poet, or any of those things, that's fine. In the IT world, your job is never done. Your job is never done. So, learning always happens. Learning is continuous. Every year, you should be significantly better than you were the year before. And if you're not, that says a lot of bad things. So what a lot of people do is, instead of doing an honest assessment about their opportunities and where they are, they talk about love, and then they just accept this crap until it sinks. Whereas if you sit there and you're like, oh, Eli, but you don't understand. I'm really bad at programming. I'm really bad at coding. I mean, I'm really good at desktop repair, but I don't know, man. Coding, I don't know if I can do that. Well, here's the thing. If you've got a job, right, start learning now. And it may take you twice as long. So let's say you have a really smart kid, and a really smart kid can learn coding, let's say 6 months. Right? You're like, Eli, I can't learn coding in 6 months. I'm not asking you to learn coding in 6 months. Take 12 months. Maybe even take 24 months. Right? If you're in this cushy little desktop support job right now, and you are getting paid, you are paying the bills, just take as long as you need to get yourself to the next level where you can start making money. Right? So think about that. If you sit there and you're like, and you're in the computer repair job, you can sit there and you can start railing, I love computer repair, and Eli, you don't know what the hell you're talking about, and you can keep doing exactly what you're doing. And 2 years from now, you're gotta be more screwed. Because again, this isn't a debate. This is not fucking debate, guys. This is what's happening. So you can, or you can take 2 years to learn Python and Ruby, C#, whatever you decide to learn. And yeah, it may take you twice as long as it takes the average person, or 3 times as long. But in 2 years, you will know enough to be able to get a job that is going to pay you more than you're getting paid now. Again, as I say, in the coding world, it's no money. But as I said, I know development shops in Baltimore that pay interns $40,000 a year for PHP. Like, you know enough PHP, and you're dedicated, and you're motivated, and you give a damn about ROI. $40,000 plus benefits and all that as an intern for PHP. And again, I'm not saying that's a high. I'm not like, wow, now you're made. I'm just saying that's like what they pay for interns. Versus computer repair, you ever gonna make more than 40? You know what I'm saying? Like, intern makes 40, expert senior makes 40. Where do you want to be in life? But it takes honest discussions about things like money to get you where you need to be. So that is my thought on the issue. And this is the long-winded version of money, obviously. But it really is true. It really is true. If you don't take money seriously, you don't even belong in this field. Your job, ROI, return on investment. You're getting hired by organizations. What do you think these organizations do? You know what I'm saying? Like Bill Gates or whatever the hell his name is. Whenever Tim Cook goes in front of the stockholders, he doesn't just go, well, we did a lot of good things. We employed lots of people this quarter, and we paid a lot of money this quarter. He goes in front of the stockholders and says, we made this much profit. That's it. You bring profit to the company, you're good. You're successful. Again, when your boss, when your C-levels can look at you and they really think, I can't lose this person because it would cost my company too much money. And that's really what it's business decisions. It's business. You can sit there and you can talk about, and this is what happens. Again, everybody tries to change the game. Everybody tries to run around on the field just as fast as possible without worrying about scoring goals anymore. Well, Eli, as far as religion is concerned, in the eyes of the spaghetti monster, we're all equal. Hey, you know what? When my time comes and I am before the spaghetti monster, then at that point, maybe we're all equal. But right now, we're all on planet Earth. We're all dealing with humans. And the spaghetti monster has yet to come down and say hi. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. Nope, still hasn't come, right? We're dealing with other humans. And down here, we're not equal. The people that provide more for the company get paid more. The people that provide less get paid less or get trashed, right? I mean, that's just how it works. So when you go in there and you feel more comfortable about business, about money, about commerce, it makes everything better. Again, you know, when I was with that company and I demanded the training, I mean, in 1 year I got $30,000 or $40,000 of training. They wrote a lot of checks for my training. And the reason was, I went to them and I said, I'm over my head. You guys hired me. I told them I was a little blunt a couple times. Like, I'm not really sure why the hell you guys hired me, because I am so far over my head. So it's like, you can either pay me to keep screwing up these systems, because I'm already here, and for some reason you hired me. I'm not doing my job efficiently. Because I'm not doing my job efficiently, again, I support all these people. I support however many, 500, 1,000, however many hundreds of people that we had. So not only am I not doing my work efficiently, but when I don't do my work efficiently, that means all of these other people have problems. So you can either send me to all these trainings so I can tread water and make life better for everybody, or you can not pay the money, and this is just going to cost you a crap ton of money. Right? You know, I mean, that was the thing. Like our main office that I was at, was 150 people. Right? I remember that. We had a backhoe go through the T1 line one day. That was fun. There wasn't a thing I could do about it. We didn't have any redundancy. We didn't have any failover. Basically, we had one T1 line that cost us a stupid amount of money, and they were doing construction at the end of the road, and a backhoe literally cut through the T1 line. So, you know, I'm on the phone with the data networks department and all that, and, you know, we have it under control as much as you can have it under control, which is not a lot. You know, we knew what the problem was, we knew who needed to fix it, and, you know, we could scream at people, but we couldn't do much more than scream at people. So I was sitting there with, you know, I was again 23, 24 years old, and I was sitting there with, like, the regional director, big guy, right? And he's looking out the office like, Eli, come here. Okay. Like, so what's going on? What's going on? I was like, well, sorry to say, a backhoe went through the T1 line. Nothing we can do about it. It's not our Cisco switch. It's not the server. It's not headquarters. A backhoe went through the T1 line. Okay, so when's it gonna be back? And I looked at him. I don't know. I really honestly don't know. I mean, it's literally completely and utterly out of our control. You know, it depends on what equipment they have. It depends on what they need to fix it. I don't know. I mean, backhoe went through there. What do I say? All right, he's like, Eli, I want you to look at something. I'm like, okay. He's like, look, I've got 100 people here. They're all getting paid. I was like, yeah. He's like, I have them here for the rest of the day. That costs $10,000. Yeah. So do I send them home or not? Are you going to get me back online in an hour or two so that this doesn't cost me $10,000? Or do I need to send them home so it doesn't cost me $10,000? And that was a question. The question really wasn't about backhoe through T1 line. The question wasn't about Cisco. The question wasn't about sysadmin stuff. It was, what's your bet on this $10,000? That's how much these folks cost for the rest of the day. Do they stay or do they go? Right? And that is real business. Those are the questions your managers and your bosses are asking. Do these people stay? Do these people go? Do we hire more people? Do we fire more people? Can the infrastructure handle more people? If we bring on 100 people, what's going to happen to that infrastructure? If you allow the human resources people to hire 100 more people, and you dump them onto your infrastructure, and your infrastructure fails, that's not human resources' fault. Your fault. It all comes back to money, right? Money, 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 money. So, as I will tell you guys, please stop thinking morally and ethically about money. There's not moral or ethic. Money is just money. Money is the same as a ball-peen hammer. You can use a hammer to help build a house, or you can bludgeon somebody to death with it. Or you can use it as a paperweight, right? You know, it's just something. It's just a resource that is used. So stop thinking about money as like all this moral and ethical stuff. Start investing in yourself. And again, when I talk about investing in yourself and saying that your value, if you're not willing to invest in yourself, it means you're worth nothing. Not as an insult, but because you're saying that. You're saying, I'm not worth anything. I am not willing to invest $20 in myself. I mean, that's really, does anything else need to be said? And then beyond that, like I say, is with the, with actually dealing with money and playing this game. I mean, we are in a capitalistic society. Again, I don't know, I'm in the United States. So if you're off in Mogadishu, or if you're off in Russia, whatever the hell Russia's doing, or Greece, Greece is gonna have its own weird little economic system shortly. If you're in one of these countries, maybe you guys play a different game. Here in the United States, this is the game that we play, right? The game that we play is about putting balls in between the goalposts. It's about scoring points. Running around on the field just as fast as you can just makes you look like a damn idiot. That's it. And that's what a lot of you guys are doing. You're just running around on the field as fast as you can. And the worst part is when people come to you and they actually try to help you to learn how to play the game, you're so steadfast in it. You don't understand. It's about running across the field. I run around this field faster than anybody else. Yeah, but you're supposed to be getting goals. All right. If you won't even listen, if you start prioritizing running around in the field over getting goals, then where are you gonna get? You know what I'm saying? And when somebody comes to help, they're not even gonna be able to help you because you don't even want to learn how to get goals anymore. You don't even want to learn how to make money in it. It's not about money. Here, let me teach you how this works. You just want to force all this money stuff on me. It's all about money. Well, it's not all about money. Again, there are a lot of other things out there. I mean, it's a game. It's about sportsmanship. It's about this. It's about that. It's about teamwork. Yeah, money's a big part. Money's like the 70%. Yeah, it's about money. It's not all about money. Because that's the other thing people do is like, oh, you're just saying it's all about money. And then people like back off. They're like, oh, I don't want to say it's all about money. Yeah, no, it's not all about money. It's a lot about money. It's a huge thing about money. So just think about all that. And then finally, like I said, the one part in there I was telling you, again, when we start talking about money too, it's not just about consultants. I know a lot of you guys, you're like, Eli just always talks about consultants. Oh, Eli's always talking about business people. I'm in the corporate world. What does it matter to me? Because you're still in business. We support business. Whether you're an employee, whether you're a consultant, whether you're in the military or you're in some nonprofit organization, it is still about business. Even if you're in the military, even if you're sitting there doing some who the hell knows what in the military, you still got budgets, right? Really do. That was an interesting thing. Like with the, I remember reading an article about this years ago, back when the Afghan war started, and it was talking about why our military was good for doing a lot of things. And the interesting part was the article. It wasn't talking about special forces, and it wasn't talking about recon, and it wasn't talking about stealth bombers, but it was talking about MBAs. You don't think about that. What do MBAs have to do with warfare? Well, in modern wars, you got to get a lot of people from here to there and then be able to supply them. There's massive amounts of logistics. And I dealt with something that had to deal with aircraft carrier logistics. Holy crap, right? You think about soldiers, and you think about these are the people that defend the red, white, and blue, defend freedom, all that kind of stuff. It's not about money. It's not about money. It's not about... No, it is. It's a lot. The logistics to supply a single aircraft carrier, not even a fleet. Oh my golly, right? And that's the thing. People don't want to think about it. And the less you think about it, the less successful you will be in the IT profession, because it's a business. No matter what we're doing, we are business support. So there we go. I have said my bit. I'm happy it's still light out. I was a little worried it might get a little dark. It's been funny. Like, I've been watching the light on the screen as the sun has been going down. But, yeah, that's it. I don't know. See, everybody, they just lose their mind about money. Money's important. We're in a capitalistic society. It's a capitalistic society. I'm not saying it's the best, the best system, but it's the one we got. The one we got, right? And again, that's one of the things a lot of people say. That's the whole running around in the court a lot. Is, people talk, well, this isn't how it should be. We should have a society that does X, Y, or Z. And again, you show me a functioning one, not a theoretical one, not one in planning stages, not one that maybe might possibly happen. You show me a functioning alternative solution, and then we can discuss it. But it seems in the moment, right or wrong, good or bad, this is a system everybody's going with. You know what I'm saying? So there you go. So anyways, with that, I think I'll go have some dinner. My belly is starting to growl now because I think it's about 7 o'clock. But I do have to say, again, as we travel around in Silicon Trailer, as we travel around in the travel trailer, I really have to say, Rhinebeck, New York, this whole Rhinebeck area up here, so there's like Rhinebeck and Poughkeepsie, up on the Hudson, is a very nice area. This is truly, truly, truly an absolutely beautiful area. If you take nothing away from this, just take away the fact that Poughkeepsie and the Hudson Valley is absolutely and utterly gorgeous.